You're listening to the Magic Our Way podcast with Kevin, Danny, Eli, and Lee. Oh, I love the way their foul little minds work. Yeah.
Jumbo, everyone.
Harambe.
And welcome to another edition of
The Magic Our Way.
Magic Our Way.
Magic Our Way.
Magic Our Way.
The Magic Our Way podcast.
They are truly magical and whatnot.
Asante Sana, everyone. You're listening to the Magic Our Way podcast from New Orleans, Louisiana. And on this show, we invite you to feel the libations. Feel it, feel it. We are artistic buffs talking about Disney stuff, and this is the show in which every opinion is welcome. MagicOurWay.com is where you can find us. For this episode, we present our 2022 Halloween show. And look, this isn't your typical polished, practiced Pixie Dust and Disney podcast. No, sir. We are not in the parks every day trying to tell you where the best place is to catch a picture of the Headless Horseman during the Boo-to-You parade.
That's right, Kev. We're here to drink, talk some Disney, and get spooky with it.
That's right. So, oogity boogity, here comes another episode.
Boogity boogity, my name is Kevin.
I'm Danny.
I'm Eli.
And Lee. And this is Halloween. Everybody make a scene. Book your next trip with me, and you'll see things you've never seen.
Oh, yo, boy.
Well
Like it's hot.
Hot.
Well executed.
Man, I like it, man. So look, enough of our rapping. Let's get our Halloween on. And here we are on the hub, our main topic segment of the show. And as I said in the beginning, we present our 2022 Halloween show. Yes, presenting the show is our very own Danny.
Yes.
Danny, the master of all that is Halloween in his house and the Haunted Mansion and things that go bump in the night.
I don't know about master of Halloween, but I am master of my domain.
You're master of Bashan.
There you go.
Yes.
But that'll probably be the last spooky sound effect you hear from us, unless Kevin just decides to go rogue. There you go.
Thank you.
So as Kevin just alluded to, and I'm sure a lot of you know, Halloween is my favorite holiday. And I'm kind of a sucker, if you will, for special Halloween episodes of our favorite TV programs during this time of year. So every year, time permitting, we've always tried to put together a Halloween-themed episode of the Magic Our Way podcast. Well, I think we missed last year, and Kevin had to rerun like an older thing that we did. Is that about right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's just this time of year always gets busy. It always seems to sneak up on us, unfortunately.
Like a ghost.
Yes. But this year I kind of had something definite in mind, and I wanted to go ahead and get this out there because in a conversation with Kirk Landry, I realized he didn't even know anything about this, and I'm like, well, that's kind of something. People should know about this thing. So this year's topic is going to be about a lesser-known symbol of Halloween that first appeared in Disneyland in 2007 on Halloween night and has since made its return every year forward.
Since?
Yes.
Do we know about this?
Yes, you probably know about this thing.
Okay.
But you probably don't even realize it's at Disneyland. Because you can only really see it during Halloween time at the park, so that encompasses, 2 months?
It's kind of like the Great Pumpkin, then.
Yeah, and most people just walk right by it, and they just assume that it's part of the yearly decorations, but it's not. If you look closely, you'll see that there is a tree in Frontierland that is decked out with glowing red and orange lights, and this tree has dozens of miniature pumpkins hanging from its branches, each with a hand-drawn face. And at the base of the tree is a plaque commemorating the night of its dedication. Does this ring a bell at all?
No, absolutely.
Nothing?
I don't know.
Lee?
Well, since I've only been to Disneyland one time and it wasn't during Halloween, this is all news to me.
Okay, but I mean, there might be something else about this that would make you understand what this tree is supposed to represent. But let me put it to you like this. This tree exists in Disneyland to celebrate 4 things, all surrounding the exact same person and his intentions.
I'm intrigued.
It exists to celebrate one of the most renowned writers of the 20th century, to honor someone who was a close personal friend of Walt Disney himself, to commemorate this writer's attempt at celebrating his favorite holiday by creating the quintessential Halloween animated television special, and lastly, and most importantly, to recognize his dream of having his symbol for Halloween become a permanent addition to Disneyland.
Stephen King. All right.
Not too bad.
So that was a good guess?
And let me give it to you like this. Don't think horror, think science fiction.
Oh, is it Ray Bradbury?
Ray Bradbury.
What?
Oh.
This is the story of Ray Bradbury and the Halloween tree.
I like Ray Bradbury.
Yeah, maybe we used to have a TV show way back when. It's
Yeah.
really good.
So do y'all know about the Halloween tree?
I've never heard of the Halloween tree.
You never heard of the Halloween tree? Lee?
No, not
this
at all.
is going to be interesting.
I've heard of Ray
Okay.
Bradbury. I've never heard of
Yeah,
Halloween tree.
Bradbury, yes.
Bradbury,
Halloween
yeah.
tree, no.
So, for those of you who don't know who Ray Bradbury is, I imagine most of you do, but for those who don't, he's probably one of the greatest science fiction authors ever, right?
Yeah.
The novel he's most well known for, obviously, is Fahrenheit 451, or 451, I don't know how you say it. I mean, it
Yeah.
was
We read it in high school.
Yeah, it was required reading in high school. I remember that. But what some people may not know is just how big of a Disney fan Ray Bradbury was. And to really understand the story of the Halloween tree and how it ended up in Disneyland, it's kind of crucial that you comprehend the long history of collaboration that existed between Ray and Walt, and then Disney beyond when Walt passed away, to understand how the Halloween tree ended up there. So let's start with Ray's childhood. Ray grew up in about the 20s.
Okay.
And Ray grew up a huge fan of Disney's The Skeleton Dance,
Yeah.
and The Old Mill. And as he got older, he got into the classic Disney films. However, it was when he got to be a young man, he was selling newspapers on a street corner, and Fantasia opened up. And he went and saw it by himself, and he experienced what he called the greatest day of his life when he saw Fantasia.
Wow.
Yes. He declared it the greatest film ever made, and spent the next few weeks saving up all the money he could from his papers so he could go ahead and buy tickets for all of his friends to come and see it.
Nice.
And when the friends came to see it, instead of watching the film, he had one eye on the film and one eye on the friends. Because in his mind, if any one of them made a face, they didn't seem to like it, they looked like they were having a bad time, end of the friendship. That's
What?
it. Cut him off.
Wow.
That's insane.
Which I could understand that. Like, wouldn't you, like, if you were hanging around with somebody like, oh man, Jaws was, I don't like Jaws. Like, I can't take serious anything you say after that anymore. You've got no taste. Like, you can tell me it's not your favorite movie, but don't tell me, that
You just like
no
the
good.
summer.
Right.
No class.
Hey, I'm just saying, though, that has to be a level of communication that needs to be
Oh, you
had
think
right
you should have
there.
felt like, hey, this is a test of our friendship.
Yeah.
He did buy the tickets for them.
Yes.
Expect some reciprocation.
Yeah, but he was reading faces, though, so that means
But it
you
was
couldn't
like
hide it.
It was like a litmus test for his friends. Like, y'all are either cool enough to like this, or I don't have no time for you.
Damn.
Snap. If he could snap, he would snap.
You out of here.
So fast forward to 1963. Now Ray's an accomplished author. Fahrenheit 451 has been out, about 10 years at this point. One day in December, he's out Christmas shopping, and he spots a gentleman whose arms are just loaded up with Christmas presents. And he gets closer, and he takes a peek, and he's trying to see through the presents to see the face, and it turns out to be none other than Walt Disney.
Oh, wow.
So Ray rushes over and says, "Mr. Disney, I'm Ray Bradbury. I love your films." And Walt turns, looks at him, and says, "Ray Bradbury, I love your books." And with that, a conversation ensued, and Ray says, "Look, dude, I would love to take you to lunch sometime." And Walt said, "How's tomorrow at my office?" Ray's jumped at the chance. So the next day, the two met up, had soup and sandwiches on an old card table, and Ray just sat there and told Walt about how much he loved Disneyland. And as the lunch wore on, soon the conversation turned to the World's Fair, which they were both working on at the time. Walt obviously was doing all his projects, Mr. Lincoln and Carousel and all that.
Yeah.
But Ray was working on the United States Pavilion for the fair.
Huh.
And they're starting to commiserate about what a waste it's all going to be when the World's Fair comes to an end and all these wonderful pavilions and exhibitions all get torn down. And that's when Ray says that Walt turned to him and said, nothing has to die. And
Wait. So Walt told him that, or Ray told him?
Walt told Ray nothing has to die.
Interesting.
And then Walt began to explain to Ray his idea for a grand World's Fair to be built in Florida, one that would grow and change with the times, updated constantly, but never die. And if you remember, right around this time, 63, that's when they were trying to figure out, because 63, the day Kennedy was shot and killed, Walt Disney was in New Orleans refueling as they were looking for spots for Disney World.
Right.
So this Ray's recollection lines up perfectly that Walt was already having ideas for what Epcot was going to be. So before this, we were all thinking that, they just threw a World's Fair in together with a World Showcase, and that was the end of it. No, this idea of a permanent World's Fair was already kind of in Walt's head. I thought that was fascinating.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So from there, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I wonder how well they're living up to that. That could be a whole new, different show altogether, but that's really neat that they had those ideas back then, and they had that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember our interview with Rolly and how they just dismantled this Tower of the Four Winds and stuff. And
just threw it.
Just threw it in the ocean, right? I wish they could have moved it along with his ideas. I thought that would have been great.
I think so too, but
alas,
didn't work out.
No, it didn't.
But you saw Walt wasn't kidding. He took all the stuff that he could, bringing it all back to Disneyland. We're not letting any of this stuff get destroyed.
Yeah, I don't care where you put it. Just put it somewhere for
Make
now.
it work.
Exactly.
Make it work.
So from there, Walt proceeded to give Ray a personal tour of the studios, and he met with the Imagineers, and even got to meet the animatronic Mr. Lincoln and ride a People Mover prototype before they were ever unveiled at the fair. And finally, they get back to the office, and the secretary is kind of mad because she had told Ray they needed to be back in an hour. Like, he only had an hour with Walt, and Walt just went nuts. And so the secretary was pretty bad, and she was like, it was him. I had nothing to do with it. I told him it was time to leave. It was him. But so it was during this time that Ray also kind of had an exchange with Walt that led to one of Walt's more famous quotes. Because as they had become friends, Ray kind of witnessed the blueprinting and the laying of the foundation for Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, everything like that. And he remarked to Walt, Los Angeles really needs a creative mayor like you. And Walt replied back, why would I be mayor of Los Angeles when I'm already king of Disneyland?
Hey!
I like it.
Yeah. That's kind of a quote that's been attributed to Walt Disney, and I had no idea that it actually came from a conversation with Ray. But in 1965, Ray did ask to officially go to work for Walt because they were doing an overhaul of Tomorrowland at the time, but Walt turned him down flat. He said, Ray, you're a genius, and I'm a genius. After 2 weeks, we'd kill each other.
Okay, fair.
And Ray said it was the nicest turn down he had ever gotten.
Oh, man, but imagine, though, if he would have been involved with that. That would be amazing.
Well, he was involved, and we'll get to that in a second. He was involved with one aspect of Tomorrowland that did make it through. But jumping ahead just a little bit, shortly before Walt's death over lunch in early 1966, this is another thing I thought was a great story. Walt said, look, Ray, you've done so much for us. What can we do for you? And without thinking, Ray said, open the vaults. And with that, Walt picked up a phone, dialed, and told the person on the other end, look, I'm sending Ray Bradbury over. Let him have anything he wants. And
I like that.
He went over to the archives, or
my God.
It was called the Disney Morgue at that time. I can't remember what it's called. And he walked away with several animation cells, sketches, watercolors from all the Disney classics, including Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Alice in Wonderland, but more importantly, Ray's favorite, Fantasia.
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
that's awesome.
He must have been badly inspired.
Oh yeah, it's so important to understand how big of a fan he was of everything he could have asked Walt for. That's what he asked for. Access to the vault to have sketches and cells from those movies that he adored. So after Walt's death, Ray still worked with Disney. He adapted one of his novels into a movie for Disney, which turned out to be one of your favorites, Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yes.
To what Lee said earlier, Ray added one small but very important design element to the Astro Orbiter at the Magic Kingdom, because it was designed to be different than a remodeled version they did over at Disneyland. Ray kind of surmised that, look, you got the planets up there and the jets are all going the same way. Make the planets go the opposite direction of the cars, and it'll seem like you're going even faster.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, and so that's what they did. And so now, whenever you ride the Astro Orbiter, note that's that helps contribute to the idea that you're speeding around up there when you're not going quite as fast as you think you are.
Maybe that's why I'm so scared of it.
Yeah. That could be it.
Aside from falling off the tower.
Yeah, it does feel like you're going twice as fast than you go in Dumbo. That's for sure.
Right. Sounds like I need to make a TikTok video about that. That's a cool little factoid.
Yeah, a good little tidbit. Yeah. So Ray also helped develop the storyline and the ride script for Spaceship Earth when it opened.
Yeah, that I knew.
Yeah.
That I knew.
The script, that version of the script that he did was edited to make it a little bit more accessible for small children, but the heart and soul of his story about communications still existed there, very much so. Also, he worked on the Space Pavilion.
Okay.
Really? Did he?
Yes, there was going to be a Space Pavilion that was kind of like a precursor to Mission Space. And it never got built, but it was supposed to be like you boarded this huge interstellar space vehicle, and passengers would have been transported to like the far frontiers of the universe, and it would be a whole thing about man's efforts to reach out for the stars, kind of thing.
Now, he would have been trippy for something like that.
Yeah,
his style would have lended well to that.
I remember the Space Pavilion was talked about back in the day when I was younger.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
So he and Mark Davis also collaborated on an attraction that was never built, and it was going to be a new carousel ride to replace Carousel of Progress called Yes Tomorrow Time Machine. But it was never ultimately approved. They do have concept art for it, but it never got off the drawing board.
But nothing truly dies, man. Hopefully one day they'll see the light, right?
Well, I don't know why, but that Yes Tomorrow name, that sounds very familiar to me.
Yes Tomorrow?
Yes Tomorrow. I don't know why that resonates.
Mr. Morrow?
Mr. Morrow. That could be it.
Mr. Tom Morrow?
Tom Arnold?
Tom Morrow.
Oh.
And this really isn't one of Ray's major accomplishments, but just because we talked about it in the show one time before, one of his short stories, when he first wrote it was called The Magic White Suit, but was then later renamed The Wonderful Ice Cream Suit. Do y'all remember when we discussed this?
Oh.
We were like talking about Disney obscure movies, and we got to The Wonderful Ice Cream Suit, and we're like, what the hell is a Wonderful Ice Cream Suit? Well, it turns out it was a story about Ray Bradbury.
Ice cream suit.
Yeah, I remember reading that short story by Ray Bradbury in
school?
in a book. It was basically like this whole thing. Like, you remember the chick flick with the girls with the traveling pants or whatever?
Yeah.
It was kind of the same thing. Like, there was this white suit, and like everyone that wore it got like really good luck, and they got like all the ladies and stuff like that. And so there was this group of friends that would all share the suit.
Yeah. They chipped in to buy the suit, and they would take shifts on the suit. And that's why it was called the ice cream suit. Not because of anything related to ice cream, just because it had the color of vanilla ice cream. It was the only connection. It's a wonderful name, but very misleading.
I was going to say, 'cause that sounds like weird diabetes, but good, it's not actual ice cream.
Right,
So,
no.
That wasn't the show where we did our End of Pants video, was it?
I don't remember. I just remember
Now
that
we talked
coming
about
up.
the milkman. Okay.
And we were all like, wonderful ice cream suit. That's
Wonderful
interesting.
ice cream suit.
So anyway, this movie was put up by Touchstone, which, as we all know,
Disney.
is the more mature version of Disney's film labels. And again, like there's so much more I could say, but we'd be here all night, and we still haven't gotten to the Halloween tree yet. But I just wanted to make sure that y'all understood how much Ray contributed and collaborated with Disney since the 60s, and that will help understand why Disney loved Ray.
Absolutely. I would love more collaboration.
So that brings us to the Halloween tree. So let's talk about the Halloween tree. And for those unfamiliar with the story of the Halloween tree, which would be everybody on this podcast except for me, I guess.
Yes.
We'll get into the actual story of what it's about in a little bit. But for now, I think it's more important to focus on the story behind the Halloween tree, to understand how the Halloween tree was created. And what I love the most about how the Halloween tree came to be is that Ray Bradbury likely never even writes this story if not for another famous Halloween children's story that pissed him off.
That pissed him off?
That pissed him off. We'll get to... Now, don't jump ahead too much.
Okay.
Because before we get to that, let me just state the obvious, and I'll give you all a chance to guess at what it might be. As you might imagine, anyone who writes a novel about Halloween probably loves the holiday very much. And Ray Bradbury definitely loved Halloween. It was his favorite holiday as a kid growing up in Waukegan, Illinois. He talked endlessly about how he used to tell people this is going to be big because back in, what was it, the 30s? I mean, Halloween really wasn't that big of a deal. Like, it was kind of a newer holiday. It really hadn't caught on to being pretty much the second biggest holiday to Christmas. I mean, Halloween was brand new. Trick-or-treating was kind of a newer activity. And he predicted, he kept saying, look, I mark my words, Hallmark stores, drugstores, everywhere, they're going to be selling costumes. It's going to be huge. And he was right. And even when he was in high school, he was writing short stories about Halloween for classes. He called them strange little stories, but they all seemed to revolve around Halloween because he just had this predilection for the spookiness. He kind of even credited Walt Disney's The Skeleton Dance, that it always kind of came back to something spooky with him. And as he got older and had children, one of Ray's favorite activities was to go down to the basement and do some painting with his kids. They'd all paint, and that's really where the story of the Halloween tree begins, because one day in 1960, Ray painted a huge tree filled with autumn leaves and carved pumpkins, and he called the painting the Halloween tree. It just exists as a painting, not a story, just something that he created during art time with his kids. So fast forward 3 years later, and it's November 1st, 1966, and Ray Bradbury goes to lunch with his good friend, legendary animator Chuck Jones. Who knows Chuck Jones?
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs
Bugs Bunny, that's it, exactly. He did Merry Melodies, all Looney Tune characters, Bugs, Daffy. Brilliant animator, one of the best of all time. The Grinch, that's another one that he did. And Chuck was working for MGM Studios' animation department at the time. So as the two were having lunch together, Chuck asked Ray if he saw the animated Halloween TV special that was just debuted for the very first time the night before. And he asked what he thought about it. And does anybody know what special he was talking about?
What he thought about? Let's see.
I got to guess.
Go ahead, take a guess. I'm thinking.
Was it the Great
Halloween
Pumpkin?
special?
Yeah, that's it.
What was
got it?
Well,
Yeah, both of y'all said it's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Oh, nice.
Charles Schultz's It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown debuted for that very first time in 1966. So both men had seen the special and loved Charles Schultz's work on Peanuts, but absolutely hated the Great Pumpkin.
Who doesn't like the Great Pumpkin?
Why do you think they hated the Great Pumpkin? Any guesses?
The character or the story? Or the actual show?
The actual show itself.
You wait, Charlie
But,
Brown. You see.
Having said that, it could have issues to do with character. It could have issues to do with story. Could be any reason these guys.
Was it similar to what he did before, or a similar kind of story?
There's no.
No.
I would guess there's no payoff.
That's it. That's
Oh, there you
exactly
go.
what it is. The whole special built towards the arrival of the Great Pumpkin, who never shows up.
Right.
And they thought that Halloween had gotten done dirty. And as his favorite holiday and something that he revered and adored, he was like, how can you build this up for the arrival of this character that never shows up? He likened it to shooting Santa Claus as he's on his way down the chimney.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Schultz, mein Frere.
I mean, I can see that because, there's no payoff. And I felt bad for Linus, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
Linus is sitting in the field, and they make Linus look crazy.
I know.
Because he's yelling in the field. No one's there. Everybody left.
Oh, he's coming.
Yeah, you'll see. Like,
And you
man,
wanted to see, like, even if you never saw him, you saw a touch of magic that alluded to the fact that he was there.
Yeah.
Or a shining light, or whatever you saw.
Yeah.
Something. I remember being a kid and being disappointed by that, too. Loving Charlie Brown, loving the special, but being like, man, did we really have to go see Snoopy fight the Red Baron, or could we spend more time with the Great Pumpkin?
Yeah.
I would have rathered that.
Yeah, it's the Great Pumpkin.
He was so upset, in fact, Ray Bradbury talking about, him and his daughters ran over to the TV set and started kicking it.
God dang.
Yes.
Those are tube TVs, too.
Oh, I know, huh?
Those
Yeah,
are the
you-
heavy suckers.
You got to remember, this is back in a time where you'd break your foot on your TV set long
Exactly.
before you broke your TV set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are
Those
some
suckers
big
are tanks.
cathode ray tubes. Don't play
Yeah.
around.
You could jostle some things and mess it up, but no, they wouldn't die.
No.
Well, damn, just change the channel,
It's like
man.
the Karate Kid 3 with Daniel trying to hit that wooden. Yeah. Made his knuckles bleed and everything else.
Punch harder, LaRusso. Yeah, I mean, it's
I like that the kids were in on it. They were angry
yeah.
too.
I appreciate
Well,
that.
sure,
The
Daddy
support.
went first, and they're like, well, if Daddy's doing it, let's all join in.
That's
Oh,
right
they just wanted to kick the TV, right?
Exactly.
I've always wanted to do that.
The mom's like, wait, we can't afford another TV yet.
Yes, we can. I'm Ray Bradbury.
That is true.
So as Ray and Chuck are ranting about this, Chuck suggests, well, why don't we just make our own Halloween film and do the holiday justice by teaching people what this holiday is all about?
Chuck said this?
Yeah, Chuck Jones says this to Ray Bradbury, and Ray Bradbury bolts out of his chair. He's like, wait here, I'll be right back. And he runs home, grabs his painting of the Halloween tree, runs back and shows it to Chuck. And Chuck's just amazed. Because in that painting, he saw what he described as the history of Halloween. And the two discussed how they could do a story about the origins of Halloween dating back to Roman times, the Egyptians, the Druids, going all throughout Europe, Mexico, United States, where trick-or-treating really kind of became uber popular. So Chuck asked Ray, like, would you mind doing a screenplay for this film? And I'll animate it. And Ray jumps at the chance. And he didn't really need to do much research after all because he knew Halloween pretty well, having written about it hundreds of times before that.
Right.
So this might be a good time to give those who are unaware of the Halloween tree kind of a brief synopsis of what it's all about. And I'm not going to do spoilers, I guess, because so many people here don't know it. And it's understandable that this movie kind of fell, movie and book, and we'll get to it, kind of fell beneath the radar because it was kind of later. We kind of missed the boat on this one a little bit. But it's out there, and it can be seen, and it can be read, and it can be appreciated. So I highly encourage everybody out there to do that for themselves. But the story centers around a group of boys who set out to go trick-or-treating one night, only to discover that one of their friends, and this friend is like not just any part of the group, he's like that one special kid that everyone just gets along with. He's that one that kind of lights up the group, that kind of brings everyone together. They discover that he didn't show up. And this kid also is like the biggest Halloween fan of them all, likes to play tricks, and the kids follow him. And they go to his home to see where he is, and they see him being loaded into an ambulance.
Oh.
And there's a note to them saying that he had to be rushed to the hospital for an emergency appendectomy, but they should go on and celebrate Halloween without him, and he'll catch up whenever he can. Well, the kids are bummed, and they're like, well, let's at least go to the hospital to see him. And as they walking along the ravine, they notice a ghostly version of this kid, Pipkin, running through the ravine next to them.
Pipkin.
So they follow him to a house where in the backyard of this house is where the Halloween tree is. And there they meet a man called Mr. Moonshroud. And imagine like Nosferatu meets death. Like they don't describe him as that in the book. He's just this old man whose face is like a skull and everything like that. He's not the bad guy, but he's kind of the bad guy. But he's not really the bad guy of the story. It's very, very layered.
It's like a Wreck-It Ralph kind of thing. He's a bad guy, but he's not a bad guy.
He's a bad guy, but he knows the history, kind of
It's
like
he's death, but he's being cool with the kids, but he's still death.
he's like, oh.
He's
See
like the
John Wayne
Creep Show
Gacy?
2 or something like that. The little, the little animated skeleton,
right,
and the kids
yeah,
like
yeah.
him because he gives the comic books, but he's still like
he still has a job to do.
Yeah,
he still has a job to do.
Still has a job to do. Okay.
And
One more time, what's his name?
Mounshroud.
Mounshroud.
Okay.
Yes, and in the movie, he's voiced by Leonard Nimoy.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yes.
That's freaky.
We'll get to. So he's annoyed that the boys don't understand the significance of the costumes that they're wearing, and he offers to show them what Halloween is all about. But they're worried that they're going to lose their friend Pipkin. They're worried that something's really, really wrong with him. And just then they see that the ghostly version of Pipkin has stolen one of the pumpkins out of the tree, and the face on the pumpkin looks just like him. And as the Pipkin's running with the pumpkin, he falls, the light extinguishes from the pumpkin, and he's whooshed away into the night. And the kids are all shocked and astonished and like, we have to help them, we have to save them. And Mounshroud offers them a chance to learn the true origins of Halloween and to also save Pipkin's soul.
Huh.
No pressure there.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing. No big deal.
And at the end, the kids have to make a choice. And I don't want to give it away at all because it's really kind of a messed up choice.
Oh no!
when you go back to think about it. No, it all works out. It's a happy ending story.
Okay.
It's a good story. Again, I just don't want to give it away. Let's just say, like, okay,
You
just
have
to
me
kind of give you a
intrigued.
little bit further. Yes,
Okay, you have me intrigued.
they end up flying through time and space on this like magic kite, and where they're pursuing Pipkin, but at the same time going through all these different times. So you go through ancient Egypt, and they learn about mummies, and you go through Greek and Roman culture, Druidism. They go to the Notre Dame Cathedral and the Day of the Dead in Mexico, and all this time, like, they're learning about the costumes that they're wearing. One's a skeleton, one's a witch, and where these characters came from and what their true origins were. And really, also in addition to that, kind of like the role that death played in shaping civilizations and how they handled it and how that mixed in with the origins of Halloween. So that's about as far as I want to get into it, because again,
Sure.
y'all can watch the special, and if you want to read the book, it's very short. But
I read
let's
the book.
just
Yeah.
let's just get to that.
We'll get to that.
Ray finished the screenplay, delivered it to Chuck, and Chuck loves it. And there's just one issue. Just as animation was set to begin, MGM shut down its animation studio and fired everyone. So everyone was out of a job.
Dang.
So Ray and Chuck tried to get the project started up again, but this was before the Disney Renaissance of the late 80s and 90s. This is when animation was really on the decline, and people didn't really want to do it. And Ray hated that because he loved animation, and desperately what he really wanted more than anything else was for Disney to make this a reality. But they didn't want to do it. So not willing to let the project die, Ray decided that he'd just adapt the screenplay into a short novel, which he called The Halloween Tree. And it was published in 1972. And he still continued his efforts to get the story made into an animated movie, which was his intention from the start. Several studios optioned it, but no one could ever get the money for it. And it wasn't until finally in the early 1990s that the head of Hanna-Barbera came to Ray with an offer to turn The Halloween Tree into an animated movie. And
Nice.
Gaffle daffle.
Ray, well, that's funny you say that. Ray was ecstatic, but he was a little concerned about the quality of animation
Oh
of the
man.
Hanna-Barbera cartoonists, considering some of the, like, let's say, the more limited mobility.
Yeah.
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 They're like the Wish of animation studios.
But the head of Hanna-Barbera assured him that this was a whole new operation and they were going to do this thing justice. And if you look at the film, I believe that they did. And it did go on. It did go on to win the 1994 Emmy Award for Outstanding Write-In in an Animated Program.
Oh.
So there you have it. So on October 2nd, 1993, The Halloween Tree premiered on ABC television, close to 25 years after the idea was first conceived, after watching The Great Pumpkin.
25 years.
Eli, we just
25
started
years.
college with that. How did I miss that? Damn.
It's nuts. It really
Wow.
is nuts that this all kind of flew under the radar. For
I need to
us, at
find
least.
this now,
Yeah.
I think.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe there were people who were more in their, let's say, preteens that remember this in the early 90s. Early 90s.
Early
that,
90s, yeah.
This was made into a film that they watched. But I certainly didn't see it until I was in my adult years.
I
was
didn't
gonna
see it
say,
either.
yeah.
Eli and I just transitioned to college. Lee was
Yeah.
probably having his first baby or something. I don't know.
I couldn't watch TV. I was half a baby.
So now you understand where the Halloween Tree came from, what it is.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, that is
Correct.
crazy.
So how did it end up in the parks? Well, 13 years after the Halloween Tree was released, it was the late spring, early summer of 2007 when an 87-year-old wheelchair-bound Ray Bradbury was having lunch at Storytellers Cafe at Disney Grand Californian Hotel with Disney historian and author Tim O'Daly, as well as Duncan Wardle, who was from Disney Parks Public Relations. And Tim was unaware of the Halloween Tree. He had no idea about it. And Ray's mentioning that he has a new book coming out, but it's not really a new book. It's an anniversary reprint, and it's of the Halloween Tree. And he's fascinated. And so Ray tells him what the Halloween Tree is. And that's when Tim gets this idea that, well, let's fabricate this large 60-foot gnarly oak Halloween tree and put it in town square where the Christmas tree traditionally resides. And Ray's just enthused as all hell because he's imagining this huge oak tree towering over the park with hundreds of swinging illuminated jack-o'-lanterns and how impressive this is going to be. He's thrilled. He's like, finally, this is going to be a reality, and Disney will have something to do with it. So Tim and Duncan try to move it forward, but plans were already in place for that giant Mickey pumpkin to be placed in Town Square instead. So there was no getting around the fact that they weren't going to be able to put it in Town Square. So not letting a good idea die, Tim tells Tony Baxter about the book's release and the idea he had for the Halloween tree and making it a part of Disneyland. And from there, Tony and Kim Irvine decided to set about making it a reality. So a special private dinner ceremony was held on October 31st, Halloween night of 2007 at Club 33. And everyone was there to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Ray Bradbury's book, The Halloween Tree. And the hosts of the evening were Imagineers Tony Baxter, Marty Sklar, and Tim Delaney. And for 15 minutes, Ray sat there and just told stories about his love for Disney and his connection with the parks and his friendship with Walt. And it was all over. They ushered Ray outside with the rest of the attendees for an unexpected dedication. And there was an oak tree near the Golden Horseshoe Saloon. It was in front of Silver Spur Supplies that was designated to be the representation of Bradbury's Halloween tree in Disneyland Park during the Halloween season. And it was decorated with nearly 1,500 glowing red and orange lights and roughly 50 different hand-painted jack-o'-lanterns.
I've seen that.
This is gorgeous, man. I'm looking at pictures of it, and I'm like, I want to. Let's go now. Let's go. Can we go? Let's go.
We always want to go, Kevin. That's why we do the show.
I know.
That's what I was kind of waiting for. I was waiting to see if Eli remembered this because we were there, and I took
Y'all
Eli
saw
to
it?
the street.
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah,
Yes.
I got a ton of pictures of it.
I've never. Oh man.
Yeah.
I got to see this.
Once he said where it was actually located, it was the
was
middle
like,
picture.
oh.
Probably was like, oh.
And you understand now why most people just walk right by it.
Yes.
I want to see this.
At the dedication, Ray said, "I belong here in Disneyland ever since I came here 50 years ago. I'm glad I'm going to be a permanent part of the spirit of Halloween in Disneyland." And with that, he pulled the stem of a lighted jack-o'-lantern and lit up the tree. And before its passing in 2012, Ray made multiple trips to see his Halloween tree in Disneyland. And later, a plaque featuring some of the masked imagery from the book was placed at the base of the tree to commemorate the night of its dedication. And it states, "On the night of Halloween 2007, this stately oak officially became the Halloween tree, realizing famed authors Ray Bradbury's dream of having his symbol for the holiday become a permanent part of Disneyland."
That's beautiful, man.
Isn't it, though?
Wow.
So that tree outside of Halloween is still there, but it's
Yeah.
not decorated, so it's not the Halloween tree, but it's there, right?
Correct.
So, like, if I went in the summer, because my kids are out in the summer, I could still see said tree.
Yes.
Yes.
But if I
Just-
want to see it in all its glory,
Yes.
do we know when they decorate it?
Early September.
Early September,
Very,
okay.
very, very early September. And then I think it, ends out like Halloween night,
Shortly
early
after
November.
Halloween, okay.
Maybe early, like maybe first, second, third of November. It depends on when they take down the decorations. I mean, you'll know it because, everyone covers when all the decorations go up.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I got to see this.
Yeah, no, it was so satisfying to see it. It really was. When I realized what it was, I was like, I have to see this. Obviously, you go to Disneyland during the Halloween, and you got to see the Haunted Mansion overlay. But this came a close second for me.
That's
So it was very
freaking awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Brad Kay, who's the creative entertainment art director at Disneyland, helped decorate that very first Halloween tree. And he said that, quote, "As a fan of Bradbury's books, it was really an honor. For the first year, Walt Disney Imagineers Tony Baxter, Kim Irvine, and I sat in front of the Golden Horseshoe late one night and magic markered all the pumpkins.
Oh, my God.
In the years following, Park Enhancement has done a wonderful job of keeping it up in all its Halloween glory."
So they just literally had a Sharpie.
Yes.
It wasn't even like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yes, because these are miniature
That-
pumpkins. They're not full-size pumpkins. Because it's
Yeah.
a smaller
Right.
tree.
Yeah, it's not a huge
Right.
oak tree.
But Tony Baxter also added, as the tree gets older and bigger, it will get more and more decor every year. So count on seeing this thing gradually improve as the years go on. But to what Lee just said, and this is where I think Kevin might have an aha moment. Kevin, do you ever taken a Disney cruise during Halloween time?
No, I need to, though.
Do you know what they do in the lobby
I
for Halloween
don't.
time?
Tell me.
So during Halloween, the Disney Cruise Line ships often put up a pumpkin tree
Do they really?
in the lobbies of their ships as a homage to Bradbury's Halloween tree.
All the ships?
All the ships.
No!
Each of them have their own tree with their own name.
Oh, my God.
So on the Disney Dream, the name of the tree is Grim. On the Disney Fantasy, the name of the tree is called Mucklebones.
Mucklebones. I like that.
On the Disney Wonder, it's Bog. On the Disney Magic, it's Reap.
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 Reap it, Murphy.
Yeah.
And on the Disney Wish, it's Boo. And it's a girl tree. It's like the first girl tree.
A girl? What makes it a girl tree?
It has no nuts.
That's hate speech, sir.
It identifies as a male, a girl.
You take the letters on that one.
That's interesting.
Oh,
No, but wait,
So
time
I
out.
thought we
Hold on a second. I just want to say I like Mucklebones the best.
It's a great name.
That's probably the best name out of all of them.
that's a catchy, but
It has multiple syllables, number one, and it's just killer sounding.
Oh, yeah.
We got to go with Mucklebones, guys.
do we have to? I'll go with reap. I'll take reap.
Oh, you like Reap?
Well, it's a verb. It's all action.
Oh,
But
Well-
Muckle Bones is very cool. I'm not
I like
saying it's
Muckle-
terrible.
I like
Yeah.
Muckle. It's a definitive. I like hey, baby, my Mucklebones.
My
ahead,
Muckle Bones acting up. Is that what you go with?
Not my sciatic, my
Oh, Lord.
Mucklebones.
Oh, Lord.
Dude, that's awesome. Dude, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to figure out when they put it up, and I need to go.
So y'all want to hear the legend?
Yeah,
go
I want to
for
hear
it.
the legend, man,
All right.
because I think we got to book a cruise sometime in our podcast life.
Okay.
So
Well,
check this out.
can I get a little spooky music here, Kev?
Yes, you can.
You can try and do this in a spookier way.
I'll try to keep this out.
Spook him up, Chris.
How about that?
Ooh, that's spooky.
All right.
Before the time of... That might be a little bit too loud.
That's too much. All right, yeah, that's all right. Go ahead. A little much. A little
Yeah,
too
a
much.
little,
A little
yeah.
too much. All right,
All right.
go ahead.
Before the time of now, there was Halloween. Not the Halloween of today, filled with merriment and pranks, but a darker celebration. The night was filled with mystery. The moon seemed to shine a little bit brighter, and in every shadow lurked something unimaginable. This was the time of the Pumpkin King, who was the caretaker of the stories and the memories of Halloween. But as the years grew on, the Pumpkin King grew weary. He needed someone to help keep the history of his favorite, most beloved holiday. So he reached in his head and retrieved 4 pumpkin seeds, each one representing a different characteristic of his wicked personality. Now, guys, y'all need to remember that this was back when there was only 4 ships. That this was written.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
I
5
mean,
ships,
yeah.
5 seeds, 6 seeds. 7, yeah,
They reproduce. They're pumpkins. They're vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got seeds. They're
If you
gonna-
ever carved
yeah.
a pumpkin, there's a lot of seeds.
There's a lot of seeds,
All
and
the
no
seeds.
doubt the pumpkin got busy, and
Very horrific.
and Disney built more ships to accommodate the pumpkins. There's the story. There's the seeds. Yes. Yes. All right. So they reproduce.
Yes.
Goes.
He planted them around and watched as the seeds grew into beautifully morbid trees. The trees only bloom once a year. Deep within its dark, gnarled branches hold the remnant spirits of Halloween memories gone past. According to legend, once everyone has learned the who, the what, the why, the real and true spirit of Halloween, the Pumpkin King will bring the trees to life. Eat your heart out, Paul Frees.
I like it. I like it.
Wow.
Man, we got to do a Halloween cruise, man, with this crew.
Even the music liked it at the end.
I know.
By the way, when it's date night, that's the same voice I use with my wife.
I was going to say,
Does it work?
No.
Oh,
got to get just the right amount of pumpkin seeds for
I'm
that.
about to say. I mean, I'll kick it.
This voice works on my wife. Seriously.
Yeah, you go.
Like,
Well, I wouldn't use
it
that
doesn't take
voice
much.
on your wife.
It's the whole
I would
thing
use
with
it on
just
my wife.
me. It's a me thing.
It's a you
It's a me
thing.
me
thing.
thing.
That's right.
It's just because you're so sexy.
Yeah.
That's right. It's your
And you
cable.
have pumpkin seeds to spread.
Oh, I am. I got so much seeds.
So many
Yeah.
seeds.
See, that's it.
You open up his loins and seeds pop out.
That's your seed, not the other seeds. It's
kinda weird.
It
Yes.
is.
So during every sailing, the trees do magically transform. It starts out as these eerie, kind of barren, lifeless trees, and as the voyage goes on, now they're sprouting jack-o'-lanterns lights and flickering. These lights are flickering, and they're this booming voice that comes out of them because each pumpkin tree is tended to by a mysterious caretaker.
Whoa, hold on, time out. So as I'm on this cruise, every time I pass through the lobby, I will notice something different.
I don't know if I notice something different every time you pass through. I mean, you pass through that lobby a lot in a given day.
Each day I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm saying that, and this is going by, I cannot speak from personal experience, it's going by reading up on the subject. Yes, that as it starts off as a tree and no fruit has born from the tree yet.
Dude,
but as time goes on, you see jack-o'-lanterns sprouting, and they light up, and there's a little show that they do. And this mysterious caretaker will come down, and one of the caretakers I saw, I mean, they all seem to have a lantern in their hole.
Right.
And one of them looked like the guy from the Haunted Mansion. You know, the guy with the dog with the lantern.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll come out and they'll tell stories of the holiday and all these little kind of not-so-spooky stories, and guests will gather underneath the tree, and this booming voice will come out, and they're like, happy. And he pretty much says the same thing now that he used to say way back when. I'm struggling to remember what the exact verbiage was. No.
Boo.
Although that would be cool,
Reap.
wouldn't it? Like people sitting there to take a picture, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, poop.
Boo. Reap.
Reap.
Mucklebones.
Mucklebones.
But it's a fun little story, man, and I like
awesome.
it. Yeah.
No, I love it because it's like I could see myself on that cruise being like on the third day, hey, yo, was there a tree? Was this like this? What? It's like, yeah, man. Wait, what? That's a great story. I love the fact that there's a progression each and every day that you wake up and you walk by the tree and something's different.
Yeah, to that point, like I think Holiday Services has less than 2 hours to install the trees into the atrium of the ship, and they start out with like an interior metal infrastructure, and it kind of resembles like a erector set.
Okay.
But then branches are added, and this trunk-like covering is added to it, and then by the time you get towards the end of it, you got close to 50 pumpkins on that tree.
Damn. See, I'd love to be part of that magic.
Yeah. And all those pumpkins light up in the course of the show that they do with the caretaker.
I wonder if do they have like illustrations or designs of what they imagine the Pumpkin King to look like?
Well, I would think the Pumpkin King is Jack.
That's kind of where my mind was.
And jacked.
They do have illustrations of the original trees.
Okay.
Really?
They do have concept art for the original trees.
I'm looking this up right now.
Yeah.
Man.
Now, all these trees have since been built, so you can actually see the trees themselves, so you don't even have to worry about the concept art. But as far as the Pumpkin King, I always took that to be Jack, so I never even looked into it. I mean, Jack is part of the Disney universe. He refers to himself as a Pumpkin King. The citizens of Halloween Town refers to themselves as a Pumpkin King. So
I always get like a Sam Hain from Ghostbusters cartoon kind of vibe when I heard the story. But yeah, I mean it makes logical sense.
Which, by the way, like it was kind of a bummer to find out that was just a complete and utter mispronouncement of Sam Samhain.
Samhain.
Is it really?
It's always pronounced Samhain.
Samhain.
But if you watch, because that's how they pronounced it back then. But if you watch like Halloween, the part where Halloween 2, I should say, the part where Michael Myers breaks into a school and he wrote one word on the board, and it's Samhain, and Dr. Loomis says Samhain, Lord of the Dead, that kind of thing. You watch Ghostbusters and they say it's Sam Hain and it's the pumpkin guy and he rules Halloween in the night. And everything like that.
Oh, wow.
It's all a mispronunciation. It's really Samhain.
Samhain.
Yeah, that's how you say it.
That's awesome.
Hey,
That's like Landry.
Yeah.
Landry.
It's a Cajun tongue.
Yeah, you gotta watch that French.
Yeah, on Sean
French toast.
It reminds me of that Simpsons Halloween Treehouse of Horror episode, like where the aliens like, to pronounce it correctly, I'd have to rip out your tongue.
Yowza.
Oh, damn.
Her name, like his name.
God, dude, we ought to go to Universal, do Halloween Horror Nights, and then board a boat and on a Disney cruise and watch the tree. I think that should be a trip in our near future. Maybe for the 500th. Who knows?
I would absolutely 100% love that. And really, tonight, guys, go out and check out the Halloween tree. If y'all got some time, it is not. I will say this.
You mean Disneyland would go now?
Oh, well.
We can catch a flight. We can catch a red eye Sunday.
If there's enough money in the budget,
Oh.
but we'll have to wait until our obligations to Austin are complete.
Yes.
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 Where's
Then
the
we'll be
pumpkin
rolling.
seeds?
But no, I'm talking about I'm talking about the what you got, the movie, the animated
movie, yeah.
film special. Which the only thing I really know of that they changed is that, well, there's two things that they changed. Is that one, they made in the original novel they were all boys, and the animated special there was now a girl, but and I want to say that they went from 8 boys to like 5 children.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's the only thing.
Okay.
But it is a bit of a slow burn because it's like early.
It's of that
Epcot.
time period. Yeah,
It's
that makes
edutainment.
sense.
It's absolute edutainment.
Okay.
But that was Bradbury's style of,
That was his
telling
thing.
the story. Yeah,
That's right.
Again, you watch something wicked this way comes and slow. He
Right.
had kind of like a Twilight Zone kind of show of
Sure.
his own back
Yeah.
in the late 90s. That's how I was really introduced. But yeah, all of his stories are like that. But yeah, it always has a nice, good twist in the end, but it makes you kind of think it's cerebral. So I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, just to let the listeners know, during the course of our recording of this show, Captain Cajun has placed it in our Amazon store. So if you want to purchase the Halloween tree by Ray Bradbury, you're more than welcome to.
He just did that?
He just did that.
And if you can, I don't know which one he put in there.
Okay.
I would add in
The illustrated version?
the illustrated version. Because
I'll tell him make sure he gets the illustrated because there's two
Wow.
versions. There's the paperback, there's
Yes.
the hard copy of the paperback, and there's the newly illustrated version. I'll tell him to put both in there so you guys can have
It's
a choice.
the artwork is beautiful. I love the artwork
Really?
of that the illustrated version. Yeah, I bought it for Lily because she was reading it and she was like, "It's cool, but I have trouble visualizing what they mean by this, what they mean by that." Because Ray, my God, he was born in the 20s. I mean, it's
20s,
like
yeah.
kids don't talk that way anymore. So sometimes
No.
she gets a little bit confused, and so it helps to bring it home a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm adjusting my Amazon cart.
Ah,
During the show, I added it to my cart
adjust away.
because I was like, I got to get this book. And so I'm putting in the illustrated version in our Amazon, which will soon be available on our Amazon store.
Yeah.
And you can read this famous story and then go out, book a trip with Lee, and check out this tree.
So if you're one of the
That
lucky,
rhymed too.
It did.
If you're one of the lucky listeners of the Magic RA podcast, it just so happens to be in Disneyland, the week after the show's released,
JP,
you
JP.
didn't know that it was there, and you want to check it out. Now you know where to find it, you know what it means, you know what it's all about, and you know the history behind it. And what a great story! I always found this to be a wonderful, wonderful story,
That's a lot.
and to think that most people didn't know it.
And it was like it was meant to be too, because he hit a lot of different powerhouses. I mean, that's a huge, nice combination right there. And still the fact that it took, what do you say, it was like 20, 25 years for that kind of came into like a starter point of it being fruition. And then after that, then it really launches and then,
Well, I mean,
gets
the
in the
book
park.
came about before the movie, but again,
Yeah.
you got to look back at it and realize that was never his intent to make it a book. It was always supposed to be an animated movie from the start. His making it into the book was just to keep it alive.
Yeah.
So,
That's badass.
That
I love
is.
that.
That's
I
what
love
I'm
that.
saying. That
really
takes,
hardcore.
It takes a lot to create something and then have it, like you say, you have your hopes for it, it kind of sinks, and you say, no, I still believe make it happen anyway, and then still it lives, I guess, in a sense, past you,
yes. And I think that is what he wanted. He always wanted something of him represented in Disneyland, and
Yeah.
to know that it's there was a huge source of pride to him. I mean, really, he wanted to make this with Disney all along. It's just that, Chuck made the offer, and Chuck was easily the best animator in the
was gonna say,
world.
I love that Chuck was
Chuck's-
involved with all this.
Yeah.
Chuck's no
I
slouch
love that.
either. I mean, granted, he's no Walt, but he's no slouch either. Yeah.
Mr. Jones.
It works very well, Mr.
Well,
Jones.
If you're nasty.
If I knew it,
Yes.
Yeah, and
that's why I show up.
I can't just call him Chuck. I
I
feel
knew you were
bad.
gonna
I
say
feel
that.
bad. I just
what's
Yeah.
so cool about this story is that it's 3 great stories in one. One, the friendship between him and Walt is I
and the
shortcut.
respect.
There's like
Yes.
a whole story behind where he made a joke to Walt, like when he saw the animated audio animatronic, I should say, Lincoln. Where he's like, "Man, wouldn't it be funny if you had an audio animatronic John Wilkes Booth to shoot him?" And Walt laughed and he said, "Well, why don't you write that?" Well, what do you know? He did.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there's a story that he wrote. I'm blanking on the name of it. If we can get Mr. Producer over here to look it up, he did a short story about an assassination of a robot Abraham Lincoln. He
No
did.
way.
I kid you not.
I bet that's in his TV show probably too, because he liked that. There was a short story that he had, and it got turned into an episode where the guy had a robot husband. He got a tired wife, and then they had the robot. The robot spent more time with the wife than he did, but he got to do whatever he wanted. And then at the end, the robot just took the wife and everything and left it. So he's got a thing for animatronics. That's all I'm saying. He can see that.
It's called Downwind from Gettysburg.
Downwind from
Downwind
I was
from
just about to say. I just
Gettysburg. Okay.
pulled it up. Downwind from Gettysburg.
So it's a robot land or something like that. This all occurs.
I don't. I'd be lying if I told you I ever read this.
All right. Okay.
It says in 1969, Ray Bradbury published Downwind from Gettysburg, which featured a similar animatronic version of Abraham Lincoln. Bradbury's version, however, sits in a replica of Ford's Theater, and the story opens with someone coming into the theater and shooting the animatronic figure in the head. Although Bays, the proprietor of the exhibit, knows that he must call the... Well, I mean, we're getting into the story now.
I'm about to say that would have been appropriate when the pneumatic fluid was still red. Right? So even if it leaked, it's John Wilkes Booth. It's okay. The thing is, the AA is not malfunctioning like the Eddie. It's just John Wilkes Booth shot him.
Nothing to see
There you
here.
go. Nothing to see here. Totally normal.
That was another story between him and Walt. There's a few of them out
That's
there.
awesome.
He
I love
spoke
that.
often about it. And, a lot of this information, I should say, came from Ray Bradbury's own words, from reading articles that he's written, reading articles about him, and then listening, I should say, to the commentary from the Halloween Tree, where he pretty much tells the story from start to finish about
awesome.
how it got made. But there's another whole half of this that comes from Jim Corcus, who is obviously an invaluable resource.
Yeah.
So I just want to give credit where credit is due. Obviously, I did not, within less than a week and in the middle of Halloween and being as busy as I am right now, did not have an opportunity to do all the research individually.
No, it was great. And to credit this guy, because Halloween, if you guys follow the show, Halloween is a big thing around this house with the decorations and all that. I'm sure we'll have a video on Halloween night of all the festivities and all the decorations around his house. So he's busy gearing up for that. This is like his Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is his thing, man.
Well, it's what we're known for in the neighborhood, and the neighborhood kids, Eli can attest to that.
Yeah, it's a tradition now. Yeah. So he's a little bit big. He's kind of like the Imagineers on the ground, having to put all this stuff up in one night. So he's working on that, and it's great. And look, Mohicans, I just ordered the book from Amazon. So, like I said, Captain Cajun put it in our Amazon store. Go ahead, order it from there. But he put both. He put both the paperback version as well as the hard copy version with the artwork that Danny spoke about. Make sure you get that, and it helps support our show. It's the season for giving.
Yes, it is.
Halloween's the beginning of this whole the holiday season, with Halloween and Thanksgiving and all the holidays in December. What name you? This is the time to support us, man. We'd love it, especially since we're approaching our next birthday in November. Happy. Happy.
Here.
Danny, I'm speechless now. Because number one, I got to go see this tree in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Number two, I got to go see the trees in the Disney Cruise Line. And number three, I can't wait to get this book in. And it's supposed to be on the 24th because Amazon Prime, thank you, I can't wait to read this short story. Maybe I can read this short story on my plane ride down to Walt Disney World.
Hey,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. I could read that little story. So
yeah, I got an extra copy once I brought Lily the hard copy. We have an extra copy if you want to take.
Oh, do you really?
Oh, yes, we do.
I really should ask to see if you have it because I just buy it because I just need to add it to my. I just need to add it to my library anyway.
Oh yeah, no support
it. Yeah, support it definitely. Sure, that's
because I mean it was Ray's attempt at making the quintessential holiday movie to really explain the origins of Halloween in a way that would be easily digestible by children, and to really understand what the holiday means.
Right now I'm in middle management, and I would love to have had that job where, hey, we got to decorate these pumpkins before a Halloween season happens.
Wouldn't that be cool?
This is our day, so let's go out there. The weather in Southern California is beautiful. Let's go decorate these pumpkins.
And you get a picture of them, like Tony Baxter and Kim Irvine and all those guys, staying up late into the wee hours of the morning, hand painting these 50 or so mini pumpkins, hanging them on the tree, getting 4 hours of sleep, and having to wake up the next day just to come out and give Ray this gift.
It's worth it. No matter.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, with comp time, they can come in a little later. But, just to be able to have the option to do that, I think would be an awesome job. I would love that.
That's the beauty of working in the park.
I'd put one with the Magic Our Way logos on it.
Nice.
All the logos.
With one big schlong. But anyway, sorry.
That might make the
Eli logo.
I was going to say, how you doing?
That's going to make the tree lopsided. Is that what you're
I was
about
about to say that. I was going to say it might
We're just
make
too
the tree
big.
fall
We're
over.
too buku. I'm
Oh,
sorry. We're going
man.
to say platoon.
That's what you call a muckle bowl right there.
That is a muckle bone, brother. Yeah, you're right. Danny, thank you so much for presenting this
That was
Halloween
awesome.
tree. I have never heard of the Halloween tree, and I am so intrigued by the story behind it,
I
by
like
the
that.
learning about the relationship between Bradbury and Walt. It even makes it more special.
And Chuck.
Both of those guys, Chuck. And Chuck.
And Chuck.
Oh, my God,
Don't walk
Chuck.
away from Chuck, too. He in
No,
there.
Chuck I love Chuck Joe. I mean, he's a badass. And it's like to know that he was part of all this just makes my soul happy, you know?
Like I said, it's like 3 stories in one. The story between Walt and Ray, the story of how the Halloween tree got made, and the story about how the Halloween tree ended up in Disney. And none of those stories are complete without the others.
It is beautiful. I love it. They work hand in hand. So, guys, look, we hope you have a great and happy, safe Halloween season. If you have any thoughts and opinions about this story, or you have anything to add to that, maybe you've took some pictures, you can get in touch with us to share your opinions and your thoughts and your pictures, and we're going to tell you how to do that in just a little bit. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed our Halloween show for 2022. Look, MagicOurWay.com is the way to go. There you'll find our social media links, past episodes, and more. And if you want to get in touch with us to share your experiences with a Halloween tree, maybe you went on a Disney cruise, you can do so through the following ways. You can shoot us an email at show@magicourway.com, or you can call or send us a text message. Yes, I did say text us at 1-815-MOWEEKEND. That is 1-815-MOWEEKEND. That is 669-4226. Hey, look, we have a couple of guys that do things outside of the podcast. First of all, we got Eli, does things with comics. Eli, how can they support you, sir?
Oh, yes, of course. Please check out the work that I do at ivorycomics.com. That's www.ivorycomics.com, all one word, but all action as well. You check out the products that I got. Project Geisha, Vigilante Geisha, fully colored, like at least 48 pages. So it's like 2 issues, no ads, all the action.
It's good stuff.
It's really good
You
stuff.
gave me a preview, and I love it all.
Everybody loves it.
Like a man.
Molly be damned, a bunch of pirates going to save their friend who is kind of like the Halloween tree. They, go to the underworld to save a friend.
Fruitful.
I feel that. I felt that
Fruitful.
when I heard that.
You feel it?
I
Feel
do.
it?
Feel it. Feel it. Felt it, felt it
libations.
all day. And of course, Savages, which is about a bunch of guards in a zoo that it's run by Hollywood style animals. So animals with jetpacks is what they're dealing with now. So again,
Yes. The prototypical Hollywood-style animal.
that's it.
With a
That this
jetpack.
works. All jetpacks.
Yeah.
That's the movies I would be watching. They would have the jetpacks in it. So yes,
This is what happens when I'm not there to straighten them out, guys.
Oh, well,
Sorry.
come on, it's good stuff. I make 3 books. What you You're not there to straighten me out. I make 3 different titles. What the hell?
There's no doubt this man is straight.
Yes. More productive. What's going on? I don't know. And of course, there's a link to this podcast. You never miss a beat, an episode, a joke, a story that was very creatively empowering to hear.
And look, we have a link to your website too, sir.
That's right. That's how synergy works, right?
It's synergy.
It's like,
Michael Asner,
all
synergy,
that.
synergy.
Get
Gem.
all that synergy in there.
It's truly outrageous. That's it. I was trying to remember. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
thought I was Jim.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're
Oh,
Jim.
what did I say? Jim?
You're a
You said it
Jim,
was truly
Kevin.
outrageous.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry. My
outrageous.
bad. I'm
Jim
sorry.
was truly outrageous.
Jim
Yeah.
was truly outrageous.
Kevin is truly outrageous.
And he was.
Eli's
if
truly
you
outrageous.
know the story, it's all about the glory.
It's all about the glory.
It is. The tree is truly outrageous.
That's
All
it.
right, go, sir. I'm sorry.
No problem. So yeah, please check that out. Just like you're supporting us, it all works well together.
Like a good bra.
There it is. All the support.
Or bro.
Oh, yeah. You got man
either way.
titties. It's all right. We got you.
Oh Lord. Facebook.com. I'm right there too. Eli H. Ivory. So as long as you're a real person, nice to meet you. And if you're bot, don't need to greet you. Project Geisha has a Facebook page there, so Facebook.com/Project Geisha. Instagram, right there doing the thing there, EIV504. And of course on Twitter, I can be found at Hancock10166. So if you appreciate the madness, then you're just bringing me the gladness. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Happy Halloween.
Oh, man, that scared me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's my tree of life for you.
I was just thinking, man, we should have, like we should go Spaceballs with this.
How so?
We got Magic Our Way the toilet paper, and then we have Magic Our Way the underwire.
Oh, wow.
We support everybody.
You support them all, huh?
When we get Magic Our Way the flamethrower, let me know.
Oh,
yeah.
man. All right, Lee, if they want to book a vacation to Disneyland so they can see said Halloween tree, or maybe book a cruise with you so they can see those Halloween trees, because you can do that too, right, Lee?
Absolutely.
All right, how did you do this, man?
Just give me a call at 832-431-1621. You can email me at lee@magicourway.com. On Facebook, you can find me at facebook.com/LostToVica Travel. That's LASTOVICA Travel. Instagram, you got a friend in Lee Travel. And on TikTok, you got a friend in Lee. And if you do any of that, we'll get you hooked up and booked up with no
Hasselvika.
In addition, guys, there's so many ways to support the show as a whole, and you can find us all on our website, magicourway.com. Plus, if you want to elevate your support of the Magic Our Way podcast, go to patreon.com/magicourway. There you'll find 6 awesome tiers to support this show. Any way in which you can support the show is deeply appreciated. We also want to thank you for being a loyal listener, and we always love hearing from our listeners. All opinions are always welcome on the Magic Our Way podcast, so make sure you get in touch with us today. So, Mohicans, we say Quaharini. My name is Kevin.
And this is Danny wishing you a happy Halloween.
Magic out. Whoa.
I have